time, quick turnaround and so forth. As a group, how much time have you actually got to try and prepare for Colchester?
Obviously not a lot of time, like you said, with the quick turnaround, but what we've recently played Colchester, so they will know a lot about us, we will know a lot about them. So in terms of analysis and that turnaround, in terms of opposition, we're ahead, so that's good news for us. In terms of the players, obviously there was a group who were off feet today, like you mentioned, with the extra time, etc. So we've had a group who have been off feet today, and then this afternoon there'll be a group out on the grass, which I'll be going out to after this.
So you've kind of concluded the most important thing is to get a team to Colchester as fresh as possible.
Of course, yeah, and there's different ways in terms of how you can prepare for that, especially when you're on a +2, -1 day, Saturday, Tuesday, and then Saturday, and again for the next couple of weeks we're going to be mirroring that. So it's very important we get the physical and mental loading right for the boys, and we certainly feel we've got the balance right.
No Danny Butterworth, obviously. Do you think it's important to have a player in the side, or at least in the squad like him, without there's a bit of a sort of wild card who can perhaps do something unpredictable like we saw in the first Accrington game?
Yeah, you know, Danny's been one of our high performers this season. He's a player with ability, as a supporter, as a fan, who can excite you, and he's definitely made a huge impression on the manager, and has been playing well. He was in a slightly different role on Saturday, and I thought he adapted really, really well. Unfortunate with the card, and now we're going to miss Danny for 3 games, and that will be a loss, because he has the ability to go past players, really travels well with the ball, and it's something we haven't got in abundance within the group, but it will be other people's now opportunity.
How is everyone else? Have they kind of come through okay? No new injuries or?
No, no new injuries. So it will be as we were. I believe Jackson Brown obviously was cup tied, but he had an illness. So again, we'll check on that this afternoon if he's come through his illness and he's available to train.
This might be a question that perhaps a manager can answer, but Miguel Freckleton's obviously sort of dropped from playing regularly to sort of right out of the 18 or the 20, as it were, weekend. So is where does his sort of future lie if he's not playing and he's on loan, as it were?
Yeah, at the moment Miguel's injured, so with regards to that and that question to be answered, I'm sure when he's back to return to play, those questions will be answered. But at this moment in time, Miguel's injured. He picked up an injury. We had an in-house game, well, an in-house behind closed door game with Bristol Rovers, which he played really well in, and it was a loss to lose him in that. So he's not far away, so it won't be too long before we see a return to Miguel on the grass.
All right, what's he done?
It was ankle, so he took a knock to the ankle, so it'll be around the ligaments on that, but nothing too serious. And again, he's in that transitional period from the physio room, hopefully now onto the grass before he gets the all clear to have full contact and return back to the full group.
Having played sort of Colchester fairly recently, what do you try and take from that game into this one?
Again, I mean, that was another cup tie that went into extra time. It'd be a different game. Obviously, they'll be at home. They've just come away off the back of a good result away to Fleetwood. Away to Fleetwood. So they'll be in buoyant mood. They'll see our league position. But listen, I know Dan and I know Nick for a long, long time. They're students of the game. They're very meticulous in what they do in terms of their preparation. So they'll be aware of our strengths. They're like anybody. They'll try and exploit weaknesses. Likewise, us. We'll try and play to our strengths and try and exploit their weaknesses.
I'm guessing, would you have gone up against them as a manager in your national league?
Yes, definitely. Yes, when they were at Lincoln, and I was at Solihull Moors when we got promoted out to the National North. So it's really pleasing to see their journey. They've come through, obviously through the pyramid into the Football League, and there's no argument. They've made a massive imprint on the Football League. So for young coaches, managers, I think their journey, their story is certainly one to aspire to and look up to.
How much do you feel is riding on this, just in terms of making sure, I guess, at the very least, Colchester don't move a significant distance away from it?
Yeah, you say that. Obviously, we're in a position we don't want to be in. I don't think anybody envisaged seeing us in this position. And likewise, Colchester, I think they'll be disappointed in the position they see themselves currently in. But like you said, a win on Tuesday evening, you bridge that gap to 2 points, and you bring another team within that league, within the league. So I think now every game for us now is an opportunity, and we've got to grab it. There was a lot of encouraging signs from Saturday's cup tie. I know for the manager, that performance was the most pleasing it has been since he's been here. So it's certainly taking the positives from that and making sure we continue that and we get this consistent level of performance, which is needed.
How much of a challenge is it for you compared to, say, Morecambe, and perhaps given all the stuff they've been through, maybe knew they were going to be at the wrong end and you perhaps didn't anticipate that? How is it a challenge to sort of flip the mindset and to say, you know, our priority now is to dig ourselves out of relegation when there were clearly some higher expectations in all this?
Yes, you know, expectations, and probably rightly so as well. But obviously that narrative, that story has now changed. And you mentioned mentality, and that's been at the forefront for us now for the last week or so. Football's a beautiful game. It's opinion-based. You know, everybody, every supporter, every fan will have their team, their system, who they play, who they wouldn't play. But underlining that, there is a mentality, and it's something we have focused on. As a group, you know, you look at the culture and environment. I've been blessed. I think I'm now 50, believe it or not. So since the day I left school, I've been in the dressing room, and I've been through different environments, different cultures. You know, I've experienced relegation, I've experienced administration, I've experienced winning championships, I've experienced winning promotions, and within that, there's certain cultures, certain standards, set environments, and again, it's about us now. Accountability. Without accountability, you can sleepwalk. Honestly, you can sleepwalk into a blame culture. So without no accountability, without no roles and responsibilities, without that, if you haven't got that fabric in your organisation, like I said, it can become that, and certainly, like we've certainly concentrated on the mentality side of the group, and preparing them, and no blame culture. No blame culture, and what you saw on Saturday, which was pleasing, if you take that performance to the 2 weeks prior to that, there were frailties 2 weeks ago against Accrington. I'm sure all supporters and people who were watching would agree there were frailties in that. Certainly 2 weeks on, those frailties weren't as evident, so that's a step in the right direction.
And do you get a sense that players are getting a better idea of those kind of on-pitch sort of roles and responsibilities? Is it pretty sort of straightforward for them to know what they should do, when they should do it at this point?
It hasn't been straightforward, because results would suggest it hasn't been straightforward, and this isn't something that's just appeared or happened overnight. And where's this come from? Long before we came into the football club, this is something we got to get to the bottom of and get to the core of. And like I said, accountability in all the clubs and all the experiences I've gone through. Having that accountability, knowing your roles, knowing your responsibilities. I mean, the game's moved on so much now. There's data and analytical, everything you can measure. But what you can't measure is the size of a player's heart, the mentality, performing under pressure, performing under different circumstances. So that's what we're really trying to unearth and get into the bottom of, reset or rewire the players' thinking and mindset, and as a whole in general.
And you've obviously worked with Ian a lot as a player, so how are you finding sort of working with him on the coaching side? How much does it help, sort of having had prior experience of clearly a big personality? Yeah,
for me it's a massive advantage in terms of my relationship to the players. You know, I'm here to support the manager, support and challenge at the right times. But I know what an Ian Holloway player looks like. I've been one. I know what he expects and what he wants. So to have that experience and have that prior knowledge can only help, in my opinion. and passing on that on to the players. And for us, it's about having no blame culture, a positive attitude. I think if supporters can see the players are giving maximum effort, applying the attitude, and it's a positive one, that every action's a positive one. The thing about the manager, he can change cultures and he can change environments, and I've been a part of that. I was with his QPR team who got relegated from the Championship, and then 3.5 years on, through that administration period, I was part of that team, came back and part of that team that got promotion back to the Championship, and he pretty much done it on half the budget. So I've seen him turn around football clubs, not just on the pitch but within, and bring a football club together, and bring supporters, fans, players, everybody together, and that's what he's really skilled at. He's a life coach just as much as he's a football coach.
Well, the good news is he hasn't made you look 50 yet. So
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Particularly with some of the players coming back to fitness at the moment, do you feel like rotation might be necessary at Colchester, given the amount they have to play at the weekend?
You would like to have that in terms of rotation, and have that depth and have that quality in the rotation. I think for now it's try and get that consistency within the group, and sometimes that can be prolonged if it's change after change. So in an ideal world, again, you want players who are robust, who can go Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, have that type of profile of physicality in a player. So where we are at the moment, we don't want too much change, but understand you're coming off the back of a game which was extra time. So certainly those are conversations, but in an ideal world, you want players who are physically robust, who can get through the demands of a Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, week on week, durable, mentally strong professionals.
You saw Botan and Mean come onto the bench. I know you've taken a lot of interest in the academy side, so what are you seeing from him, and how close do you feel like he is to making that step towards the seniors? Yeah,
no, Botan's very close, and I know that the manager has really taken a liking to him. And like you said, I've seen the academy a lot this year, and will continue to follow him. And I'm going down to QPR to see him in the FA Youth Cup, and apparently I'm on the comms with Callum. So that will be an interesting evening. But in terms of the academy, there's some good players, and with them, there's that it's getting that balance right now. The manager loves young players. He loves academy, homegrown players within the squad, because I think supporters can have that connection with homegrown players. But the situation we're in at the moment, I know he's spoken about that, and just knowing when the right time is. But knowing Botan and knowing how the manager feels about Botan, he's always in the conversations with regard to the squad and players coming on, players starting. So he can be pleased with what he's showing at this moment in time, and I'm sure when he gets the opportunity, it'll be a breath of fresh air for us, because he's something we haven't. You've got a Danny Butterworth. Danny's of that ilk, who can take players on with the ball and can go both ways, and he's exciting.
Given that Ian Holloway's first game was Colchester, do you feel like this can kind of be a bit of a yardstick of the progression that's been able to have in the first month or so?
Yeah, it was, if you looked at it, our wins have come in the cup, to Tottenham, etc., and you would really have wanted those to have come into the league. In terms of a yardstick, the only true reflection of a yardstick is when it comes to the end of the season. That's a real true reflection of one's growth or improvements being made. And again, you're coming into a season where a third of the season's already gone. But where we are at this moment in time, I think everyone's immediate goal is clearly not to be in the position we are in now. And like I said, probably expectation now has shifted, and we've just got to make sure this wonderful football club is not in this position as we stand at this moment in time come the end of the season.